Alright guys, welcome back to today's video, and today I'm going to be explaining an 8-step process on how to dominate sales. Let's get into it. Alright, so this is really self-explanatory. Where's my pen? I didn't come prepared. That's actually literally step number 1. Alright, so you got step number 1 here. And this whole process is how to become better than 99% of your sales competition. So we'll just say 8 steps to dominate sales. Alright, so the first step is always going to be prepare the night before and do research. So I'm going to write that down. Prepare the night before and do research. So the reason why this is super important is because your clients like that you as a salesperson know what they do. So if you're not preparing for who you're trying to sell to, they're going to feel like they're not being heard. And so that's why it's also very important to do research, because who you're selling to, there's only a specific person that you want to talk to in the company. So for us, it's either a construction manager, project manager, or sometimes an executive director of construction. So those people have certain attributes that I need to know about and that I need to know how to talk about in order to actually make the sell and further it along. So that's really important. The second step, which is always important, show up early. And why you should do this is because when you show up early and the prospect is waiting on you or the client is waiting on you, now they feel like they actually owe you something. So it's always important to be prepared and show up early so that they're hit with like, oh no, okay, this guy was actually waiting for me. This guy is wanting to give me a service that he knows that will help me. And so now I feel like I have to give something back to him, which is in turns their service. So that's also really important. The third step is to remember everyone's name and birthday. This is super important. Remember everyone's name and birthday. So, can't spell. So, the reason why this is super important is because someone's name is attached to who they are. So when I call out, hey, Cullen, I feel like I am being called to by someone. And so as a salesperson, when you use someone's name, you're not only associating you with them, but you're associating you with who they feel that they are, which is their name. That is their name. That is their persona that they've built throughout life. So it's very important for that. And then another thing which I really like to add is always remember their birthday. Because think about it. How many people don't even know their brother's or sister's birthday? Or how many people don't even know their grandma's and grandpa's birthday? And so you set yourself apart from literally everyone in their life, because only a few people do remember birthdays. You set yourself apart as a salesman to remember their birthday and hit them up and say, hey, happy birthday, I've been thinking about you lately, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh, wow, I didn't even get this from my wife or whatever. So that is why this is super important, and as well as the name. Step 4, and this is a big one. This is one that a lot of people don't necessarily think that it is important, but it's super important. And it's important to say no to opportunities that don't bring value to either you or the customer. So write that down. Say no to opportunities that don't bring value to you or the client. And this is important because the thing is, if you're saying yes to an opportunity, and let's say you're like a service like ours, which is very premium, high quality, and you say yes to an opportunity that you don't necessarily know how to fulfill, and you're selling that to them, it not only makes you look bad in the long run, but in turns, they're not going to value you as a good salesman because you said yes to something that you couldn't perform properly at operational level. And so that's why it's important to say no for these opportunities, as well for the client. The client side is they're wanting to get something from you. So when they ask you, hey, do you do this? Or, do you do, let's just say, skyscraper windows? And if I was to say yes, I would have to go find another company to do that because we don't do that. And so I never sell things that we don't do because, for one, it harms your reputation and it brings less value to the client, which is the whole point of sales. You should constantly be bringing value to the client, and that's what this is doing, right? You're preparing the night before. You're showing up early. You're remembering their name and birthday. You're bringing value to them, and that's in a product or just happiness. That is important. So let's move on to step number 5. Step number 5 is to follow up quickly. So again, this is max value. You want to follow up quickly. Gosh, I can't spell today. Quickly. Look at that space right there. Beautiful. Doesn't matter. You want to follow up quickly because, for one, there's always that other salesperson that is going to be out there trying to sell your exact same service. And even if you do set yourselves apart, because we've set ourselves apart on our quality game, everything that we provide to the client, we still set ourselves apart, but you just want to follow up quickly. And I'll give you a real life example, right? So it wasn't that I didn't follow up quickly, but it was really because we weren't prepared. But I'll give you a real life example. So we had this project, and it was a big project, right? And I can't really give away the name because it's an NDA, but we had this project, right? And this project had us to basically send a bunch of information over to get qualified, right? So we had to qualify our company to get this project, right? Because they wanted to make sure that we could do it at scale because it was a massive project. Well, I followed up, but the thing was, we weren't prepared. So we weren't actually in the system. In the system was really important, right? And the owners that were going to, basically, they had a GC, so the owners paid for a GC to find subs. The owners said, hey, don't worry about all this. We already have someone doing that. Let's just have them do it. And even though that we were providing more quality, more value, we didn't necessarily follow up quickly because we didn't have the right things that we needed to actually get in. We weren't qualified as a company, and therefore we lost out on around $500,000. So this was $500K gone just for not following up quickly. And basically that happens, right? You give people time to think. You give people time to be like, oh, well, this person said this, and if they are following up and you're not, you're losing out on it. So that's why it's very important. Now, leading into this next part from here, follow up multiple times. So that's the next part, following up multiple times. And it's important to do this in a friendly way. So follow up multi times. Friend. And it's extremely important to follow up multiple times and not just go straight into the sell. Not just go straight into, hey man, I'm just following up on this, blah, blah. No, follow up like, hey man, I was thinking about you. I just passed through Dallas. I noticed that y'all were doing a couple other projects and it made me think about this project that y'all are doing. How's everything going? Follow up like a friend. Or, hey man, I was just thinking, I passed this place. you told me that you liked burgers, and dude, there's a good burger place. You want to go grab lunch next week? It's so simple to follow up multiple times throughout the day because you are in control of the situation. And like I said, past control human understanding. This is a great way to control a human understanding because you're not only building that relationship on the sell, you're building it on a friendship, on a relationship, which in turns, right behind this board, is our company's goal, which is relationship-based. We want to be relationship-based, and as a salesman, you should want to be relationship-based too. So let's go into number 7. Number 7 is to deliver value in every interaction. So deliver value in every, don't mind the spelling right here, every interaction. And how do you do this, right? Well, it's very simple. You don't start off with the problem. They give you the problem and you try to solve it. And you don't solve it through your service. So let's say, right, I'm coming here and I'm trying to sell them window cleaning. And they're like, well, you know, my floors are looking really rough and I just can't do anything. We don't necessarily do, you know, finishing on floors and stuff like that. So I'd be like, hey, I noticed that you were telling me in the conversation that we had earlier that you know, your floors are, you know, becoming a pain or whatever. I have this really good company that we actually partner with that could potentially help you out. Would you mind if I give you their information? Or would you mind if I give their information to you and just go from there? And so what you do there, which you provide value to them. And it's not just through your service, it's through things that you've done, it's through things that you know. It's just something, you're giving them something that you already know that they don't know. That's value. And so another good example is like, well, you know, how often should I do the window cleaning, right? I'm not necessarily trying to sell them the window cleaning. Let's say I came here to do power washing. Then you basically go into, hey, you know, you should do window cleaning every 3 months, right? Every quarter. And then she's like, oh, wow, like, thank you. I was thinking like every two months or whatever. No, you don't need to do it that often. Just do it every quarter and you'll have a great product, right? And she's like, oh, well, you know, my company right now is blah, 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 blah. And then she's like, hey, would y'all want to do it, right? That's providing value without actually selling. And that's why you should always deliver value in every interaction. So let's go to step number 8, which is one of the most important. And I think it really hurts a lot of salespeople because they forget. They don't care. And that's the biggest thing. So number 8, and this is a big one, it is never make the same mistake twice. So I'm going to write that down in big. Never make the same mistake. Oh, that's not big. Twice. And this is so important because the last thing that a client needs from a salesperson is someone who doesn't listen. And that's exactly what this does. When you make the same mistake twice, they feel like they're being not heard. And that is the one thing that a client doesn't want. They want to be heard, and you should be listening to them. And so you should be not making the same mistake twice because that's what it means to be a good salesman. Being a good salesman is listening to their actual problem and not just trying to sell them something that doesn't actually bring value to them, right? Because the biggest thing is they're looking for a quality service for the thing that they need, right? And if you can provide that quality service and the thing that they need, then there's no reason why they wouldn't want to go with you. And so this is the 8-step process to dominate sales. Please remember this because this is super important in every interaction that you have with this client in the future. Because if you're relationship based and you do this, that can totally destroy that. You make the same mistake twice, all right, y'all are out the door. We're going to go find someone else because it doesn't matter. And you know what? You didn't listen to me. That's what they're going to feel like. And so always, always, always listen to your clients. So I hope that you enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe. And together we can learn how to sell like a G.